Welcome to the Radical Responsibility Revolution podcast. This is where we are transforming lives, inspiring you to reclaim your health, your wealth, and the power of your mind. Here we share actionable insights, inviting you to turn inwards and design your life of purpose and abundance. Welcome back to another episode of Radical Responsibility Revolution. And I can't even believe that what I'm about to share is a real thing. Honestly, I'm always a little bit sort of blown away by things that I see trending, TikTok-y, whatever that is. I mean, I'm on all those platforms, but I don't spend any time on there hardly. But I once in a while hear something that I just go, what? Because I thought I had heard every ridiculous trend that could possibly come out of the internet until now. So hold on to your boots because this is going to be a fun one. So I'm just, minding my own business. And all of a sudden I stumbled onto this thing called friction maxing. It's the Zoomers doing it. Friction maxing. In other words, causing friction on purpose in your life. This is a movement. I kid you not. I can't make this stuff up. These are Zoomers, particularly some millennials. They're intentionally doing normal human things and acting like they discovered fire. I just think it's so hilarious. I wrote this article. I was laughing so hard I couldn't breathe. I'm not really, honestly, because the examples you will not believe. They're not climbing Everest. They're not running marathons. They're like, today I decided not to use Google to find where to get a key made. I asked a human being. What? That is so crazy. Call the Nobel Committee. Hello. We've got a live one. So let's back up for a minute. The idea comes from this article by an academic. Well, that explains everything. Catherine Jaser Morton, who basically said that tech companies have convinced us that life itself is inconvenient. What? That quote that killed me was this: tech companies are succeeding in making us think of life itself as inconvenient. I don't know. I'm not doing any of that, but so what they're saying is reading is boring, talking is awkward, moving is tiring, leaving the house is daunting, thinking is hard. Thinking is hard? Really? Yes. Thinking is hard. Hello. That's the whole point. That's the feature, people, not the bug. You're supposed to think. You're supposed to talk. You're supposed to interact with people who annoy you. This is what humanness is about. It's actually called, oh, I don't know, being alive. But now apparently we need a trend to remind us to act like humans. Oh my goodness gracious. One of the examples, I love this one. I watched these videos because I just was blown away by it. She's wearing AirPods in an Uber so that she didn't have to talk to the driver. I'm sorry, you're in a car with another human for 10 minutes. And that's too much friction? Oh, what are you going to do when life really gets hard? That's what I want to know. If you think your marriage is going to come with a mute button, maybe that's not going to happen either. What if you think raising kids is going to have a skip ad option? Or you think running a company is going to say, would you like to auto resolve that conflict? Just, this is so funny. Talking to people is a big problem. Well, we already kind of knew that. Sometimes the meeting is awkward. Sometimes the conversation is uncomfortable. Sometimes the answers are going to be no. And sometimes you have to sit in the car with the guy who wants to tell you his whole life story. Well, gee golly gosh. Welcome to adulting, to the world, to being human. That's life. That's the texture. That's the beautiful texture of life. So here was another video that I saw, another example. This gal said she needed a key made, and instead of Googling it, she asked somebody at her coffee place, which apparently you can go to a coffee place, that's okay. but she asked a human being at the coffee place, and then she was so proud of herself, so proud, like she just stormed Normandy. Oh my gosh, people, this is we've had a world going on here for a while. So she asked this person at the coffee place where the hardware store was. Wow. Imagine if these people lived before 1995. They would not survive a week. You had to actually call people on the phone. Yes, on the phone without texting. You had to ask strangers for directions. Oh my goodness gracious. How many times have I done that? You had to show up somewhere not knowing who was going to be there. Oh my gosh. And you had to read a map. A what? A map. Gen Z would call the police. Here's a deeper conversation though. We're losing tolerance for reality. And this is where it stops being funny because this is actually serious. We are losing our tolerance for reality. This has been going on for a while. This is just the pinnacle. We don't want to wait at all, not even for a second. We don't want to think. We certainly don't want to struggle ever. And more importantly, we don't want to feel. That's a really big problem. We don't want to feel uncomfortable. What we do want is same day delivery, instant answers, filtered faces, AI writing, AI thinking, AI dating, AI cooking, AI everything. And that's great. AI is great. I love AI, but it doesn't replace being a human. And now we need a trend called friction maxing just to remind ourselves how to live. Honestly, if I were to get scared about things and gloom and doom, that would scare me. Maybe it scares you because one of the friction maxing challenges was that I also watched a video on was to pick something on your to-do list and do it manually. Manually? What does that even mean now? You mean like with my hands? So I have to cook dinner instead of door dashing? I have to write something instead of ChatGPT? I have to talk to someone instead of texting? What's worse is I have to remember something instead of Googling. We have reached this point where normal human behavior feels like a life hack. How did we get here? That is not progress, folks. That's sedation. It truly is. It's sedation. And Elon Musk said something recently that he predicts in a few decades. I think he's predicting it sooner than that. No one's going to have to work because robots will do everything. Have you noticed the robots are just more and more in the forefront of what's happening right now? And people say that's paradise? Really? Hmm. I don't think that's paradise. Nobody has to do anything. Nobody has to struggle. Nobody has to solve problems. Nobody has to build anything. Nobody has to learn anything. What does the world even look like in that scenario? Do we all just kind of lie around like beached whales hooked up to screens, ordering food, scrolling forever, waiting for the next dopamine hit? I'm sorry, that doesn't sound like heaven to me. It sounds like a nursing home for the entire planet. And trust me, my mom is in a nursing home right now, and I don't want to be anywhere in that feeling with my life. So here's what really worries me. If they if these Gen Zers and whoever else is in this trend can't tolerate friction, how do they make real decisions? How do you decide who to vote for? If you can't read something longer than a caption, how do you run a company if you can't have a hard conversation? How do you raise kids if you can't be uncomfortable? How do you build a life if everything has to feel easy? That's where we grow, is when we get the resistance. Leadership requires friction. Growth requires friction. Maturity requires friction. Responsibility requires friction. And you certainly don't become strong by eliminating resistance. You become strong by pushing against it. And this is where I actually agree with the idea, not because we should romanticize suffering. That's crazy. But because friction is where life happens. You feel alive when you're engaged, when you're talking to people, when you're building something, when you're figuring things out, when you're present, not when everything is automated, not when everything is optimized, not when everything is frictionless. Friction is the signal that you're actually here on planet Earth. You're a human. So, what would a frictionless world be? Imagine the fully frictionless world. You wake up, your bed makes itself, your coffee makes itself, your AI tells you what to think, your groceries arrive, your meetings are virtual, all of your friends are avatars, your food is delivered, your entertainment is endless because you're always on a screen. You never get bored, you never get challenged, you never get uncomfortable, and you never get better. You just exist forever, scrolling, forever scrolling. And then someone says, "Hey, want to try friction maxing?" And you go, "What's that?" And they say, "It means you go outside." And everyone panics. Maybe friction maxing isn't a trend. Maybe it's a reminder that life isn't supposed to be smooth. It just isn't. It's supposed to be real. You're actually supposed to talk to people. You're actually supposed to cook sometimes. You're supposed to think. You're supposed to struggle to achieve the desired results. You're supposed to feel awkward. You're supposed to grow. Because without friction, there's no strength. Without resistance, there's no character. Without effort, there's no life. And if the future really is robots doing everything, then the real rebellion might just be being human. If you enjoyed this podcast, share it with a friend. And definitely just go live life. Don't call it friction masking, it's just living life. See you on the other side.